Hello and welcome to GCSE Revision. Today we're looking at biology and specifically ecology. In this lesson we will cover B4.1.6 and B4.1.7. But first, nutrient cycling. The cycle starts with an inorganic molecule or ion in the soil, which is also known as nutrients. The plant, also known as the producer, will absorb the nutrients in the soil. Next in the cycle, a consumer, or an animal, will come along and eat the plant. The nutrients from the plant will then be passed on from the producer to the consumer. Next, they will die and the decomposers will get the organic molecules. Therefore, the decomposers will release the trapped nutrients as the organism decays. Some of the nutrients are released back into the soil, some are released into the atmosphere. And then the nutrients would start the cycle again. Next, we're having a look at the nitrogen cycle. This starts with nitrogen gas in the air. The gas will be converted to nitrate compounds by nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the soil. The lightning can also turn the nitrogen in the air to nitrate compounds. The Haber process also converts nitrogen gas into ammonia. This is then converted into nitrate compounds again by nitrifying bacteria in the soil. Plants then absorb the nitrates through the plant roots from the soil and use these to build up their proteins. The plant may be eaten by an animal and the nitrogen compounds are passed onto the animal. Animals will return nitrogen to the soil as ammonia through their feces and their urea, which is in your urine. After the animals and the plants die, the decomposers will break down the compounds of the organisms and the nitrogen compounds they withheld return to the soil as ammonia. Denitrifying bacteria in the soil then break down the nitrates and return nitrogen into the air. This normally happens in waterlogged soil. Next we have a look at the water cycle, which is a lot less complicated than the nitrogen cycle and it's quite simplistic. Here's a diagram of it and we're going to start looking at the ocean. So firstly, the sun projects its hot beams onto the top of the ocean, which then makes the water evaporate, turning the liquid into water vapour. We can also see transpiration, which is when the water vapour is lost directly from the plants into the atmosphere. This water vapour will then condensate as it reaches higher altitudes, turning into a cloud. As the clouds become heavier, they will begin to precipitate, which is essentially rain or it can be snow or hail depending on the temperatures. As the rain falls down, percolation can occur, and this is when the water trickles through the gaps in the soils and rocks and back to the ocean, instead of just going across the mountain and experiencing surface runoff before it falls back in. Next, the carbon cycle. The cycle starts off with carbon entering the atmosphere as carbon dioxide from respiration and combustion. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by producers to make carbohydrates in photosynthesis, because of course in the photosynthesis equation we have carbon dioxide and water turning into glucose, which they use as food. Animals then feed on the plants and pass the carbon along the food chain. Most of the carbon they consume is exhaled as carbon dioxide in the process of respiration. The plants and animals eventually die. The dead organisms decay by decomposers and the carbon in their bodies is returned to the environment as CO2, carbon dioxide. In some cases, decomposition is blocked. The plant and animal material is then available as fossil fuel in future for combustion. Fossil fuels are basically things where the carbon is trapped inside, and if they burn, the trapped carbon will be released. But how is carbon actually released into the atmosphere? Well, we start with respiration, and this is of course because we turn the glucose with oxygen into water and carbon dioxide, therefore releasing some carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Then we have decomposition, which is when plants and algae and animals die, decomposers break down their remains, releasing carbon dioxide as the decomposers respire. Also, as I just mentioned, burning fossil fuels, because they are a store of carbon, when they burn, the trapped carbon will be released into the atmosphere. Fossil fuels are things such as coal, oil, and natural gas. But why do carbon dioxide levels vary? Essentially, photosynthesis can only occur in the light. So if photosynthesis isn't occurring at night, there's going to be more carbon dioxide in the air because less carbon dioxide is being taken in for photosynthesis to occur. Also, respiration carries on all day and night. So as the carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere at night, there are no plants undergoing photosynthesis taking away the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, therefore being more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere at night. In this lesson, we covered nutrient cycling and the carbon cycle. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.